Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into some stuff that's real effective on the street. I suppose by now you know how to stand, you know how to hold your hands, you know how to get in position. What we looked at earlier was a good fight position, whereas you're in more or less a boxing stance with your elbows tight and your hands up. Now, when you get into self-defense mechanisms, if you're not a natural striker, that's a person that just likes to kick and punch, and you want to wait, because a lot of times in a street environment, the guy that's attacking you is going to come after you. So you have to prepare yourself a little bit differently. And one of the things you want to do is open your hands up from this position to this position, so as that you can start working, we call them salute blocks, or sliding inside. Now, we're going to start using palm heel strikes. We're going to use them straight in. We're going to use them sideways. We're going to start talking about some of the nerves that we're going to attack. The eyes are essential. Eyes are probably your first target area. After your eyes, you're growing. And then we're going to go into the throat. And after a while, it even gets a lot worse than that. We're going to go in through the nose cavities, the ears, and do some mouth ripping and tearing. And all the things that will enable you to survive in the street. Give you enough tools that if something doesn't work, then we're going to transition into what does work. And we're even going to teach a smaller person how to use clothes for lever. I mean, if you're giving up 40 or 50 pounds to an opponent, then you need to get strong. And the only way you can do that is through leverage. So you can use your clothes or your opponent's clothes to develop that extra leverage. First and foremost, let's look at the striking areas real quick. It's very important. Your palm heels, I'm going to teach you some stuff here. That's real nasty. When you're striking, you want to finger jabs to the eyes. First of all, you can just strike a guy and run away if that's what you want to do. If you're engaged in Mortal Kombat here and you want to take your two fingers, you want to use your middle two fingers when you do your attack. This way,
how to knock someone out fast. Sounds brutal, and it is. But the trick is, how do you do that? Well, it's not as hard as you may imagine. I can't cover it all here, but I've put together an illustrated guide for you, 10 instant knockout techniques. It's yours for free. The link is in the description. Get it now while it's still available. Again, it's all yours for free, and it's there where you'll discover the simple secrets to ending a fight in 5 seconds or less. All right, let's move on to our next tip.
Most likely, when you go for their eyes, you're not going to miss. If he shifts left or right, I may end up with the other fingers. Don't try to take two fingers like this or one finger. Take all four of your fingers and shoot your middle two fingers straight into their eyes. That's the way you want to hit it. If by chance you're holding a guy and you're headbutting him and you got him down, you don't want to just take your finger and stick it in his eye and then pull it out, because you may have just made him extremely angry. You want to put your finger in much like a knife, put it in and twist and turn it. If you take a knife and stab him and pull it out the same way it went in, you got a nice clean cut. But if you take that knife and put it in and twist and turn it on its way out, then you have something to deal with. Same thing, if you're going to do this, do it right. You put your fingers in, you twist, turn them on the way in and the way out. Once your fingers go into their eyes, this is going to sound a little gruesome. They're going to go in, they're going to loosen up the tear ducts, they're going to lubricate a little bit so you can get them in a little further. Once they get all the way in, you can slam down into the chin or the nose. Okay, once that's happened, and this is not my favorite technique, but it works real well. You got real thin connectors through the skull. You're going to go in through the base, in through the top, and use your head as a battering ram. Just hit them square inside the head right below the temple. I guess the end result will be to split their head open a lot like a coconut. So that's for real. If you're grabbing hair, don't just reach up and grab hair. You might have grabbed a toupee in these days. It's hard to tell. Some people don't have hair. So if you're grabbing up here, you want to take your two little fingers and grab the ear, and the rest of your hand and grab the hair. You want to grab the ears and the hair all together whenever you're grabbing. Also, you can go up into the nose if somebody's on top of you, and you can shoot straight into the brain through the nose. You can take people, and I'll grab anybody in the room or anywhere else, and you can push straight in through their ear and then far enough to create a lot of pain. If they're on top of you can go straight in through the top of their nose and press in. These are great places to hurt people. The two lethal areas on the body that we were discussing earlier, one is directly between the eyes. You've got a sinus cavity in there. If you've got a stick or a hammer or just one heck of an incredibly hard punch with good solid knuckles, if you hit a guy right between the eyes hard enough, it's because it's a sinus cavity. The bone's real thin through here. When that happens, it'll break right through and push bones into the brain. Of course, you can palm heel also, straighten the tip of the nose, and that may have similar effects. You've got a nerve that sits right under the nose. It's called an orbital nerve. If you're having trouble manipulating somebody, you can take your hand, stick it right up in between your nose like this and push, and they're going to go where you want them to. All right? We're going to get into some moves where you drop down in here and get their groins and come up here. You can grab these nerves along the side of the neck. Just flat out reach down and grab them. These are brachial plexus. You can be wrestling around and reach in here and grab, and you're going to get a good damage. It's also a great place to hit with the palm heel. Now, if you can think about the way apes and monkeys fight, they do a lot of hard hitting, ripping, and tearing. When they hit, they don't just hit and push. They hit, they twist, turn their hand, and they rip and they tear. So when they're coming in and working, for example, if he reached up to grab me or punch at me, I may just simply slap his hand down and take this hand and hit below the ear, right in the side of the neck, like this. When you hit it, you want to penetrate and then continue to push. As you push, you can also break their neck. It's a real simple technique. It works. Don't try it unless it's a life or death situation. And of course, my other lethal area is the throat. You can go in here and crush the windpipe, and it's a death-defying act. Would you hand me one of my sticks, please? I'll just show you something real quick, and I'll get away from it. But I'll show you what I'm talking about, how easy this is. You could do it with a newspaper. You could do it with a beer bottle. You could do it with your hand if you absolutely had to.
When I'm fighting this person is I can't run. I'm not confronting a bottle and a knife. I've done it too many times in my life. My odds are over, okay? And I don't think any of you should start that game of gambling, okay? A bottle to the face or a knife to the face could change the rest of your life. So this cannot be about anger. It has to be about life and death for you or your family or your military. So I'm in a bottle fight with this dude, okay? That inherently means that someone's here that I love. Otherwise, the last thing he would have seen was the back of my head and the 50-yard dash somewhere. You follow me? All right, so keeping that in mind that I can't run, we move around in spar, we're doing our thing, looking around for those crazy women that jump on your back, okay? And let's say he cuts me now, bam, now he attacks. So now, oh, by the way, you can use both hands now. Okay? And then he attacks. Now, and that's all the further I want. I just want to know that you dropped your knife and you can feel your way through it when you don't have something. So that's step one, that's till we go. And do this for about 20 seconds. And then let the other person go. Now, it's not about who cuts who. I've seen people do this drill and they go whack, whack, whack. You're home. I think you're dead. Drop that shit, okay? So you know, even if you're cutting him 5 in a row and he hadn't cut you yet, give him a little stem. So it goes both directions. So it's not an ego thing. What we're working is to flow from empty hand, from knife to empty hand, eloquently. We're making that transition without this deer in the headlights, oh fuck, okay? Let's do it.
Let me give you a couple quick tips. But first, let me give you a quick tip about how to beat the machine. I mean, there's a couple of ways the machine basically measures your physical reactions to things, right? It can tell if you're lying or not lying, but it's not because it can read your mind. It's because your body's going to react when you tell a lie. So guess who can pass a lie detector easy? Schizophrenia and all, people who believe what they're doing. If they say aliens are in front of them and there's ghosts standing right there, they believe they're going to pass. But here's how us regular people can pass. Take your fingers and put them in the palm of your hand or something, and you cause pain. Every time they ask you a question, you dig in, you cause pain. Your body's going to register the same reaction every time. So even when you lie, you get that pain reaction. Another thing we used to do is we put a tack in our shoe. And if you just push down on the little tack, it's going to hurt, but it's going to be a pain reaction. It's going to show the same reaction all the time. So you can beat the machine, and there's little slick ways to do it. Just causing a little pain in your body's going to make it react. But let me tell you how they taught us how to tell people lying and not lying. I was going to use Jim because he was just doing it a second ago. All right. So, and he wasn't lying. He was telling the truth, because when you are telling a lie, you look up and you look to the left, because that's your creative storytelling side of your brain. So somebody said, you know what? when I couldn't have done that crime because I was doing whatever, and they're looking up to the left, they making that shit up. You know, if you look up to the right, that's the recall area of the brain, and that's what Jim was doing when he's talking to me. He said, you know, I remember that you and I did this tape not long ago, and he was looking up to the right because he's remembering or recalling. That's one of the quickest, easiest ways. So if you're in the club, I'm just gonna use it for picking up women because I use my skills. For the same skill I learned to be a special agent made me a top car salesman. It made me a top guy in picking up girls. I hate to say that, my buddy Leah is on here, but picking up women and things like that, because it's the same thing. You know, now let me tell you, by the way, hope my wife doesn't hear this. I know also to look you straight in the eye when I'm lying to you, because, you know, I'm not going to let you, I've told her those things too. But if they're looking up and like I said, doing, you know, yeah. So I was, at that time I was out with my buddies, you know, and they'll vouch for me. They're lying. That's a quick, easy way to do it.
So up and to the left, somebody's looking up and to their left.
Up and to their left, they're making it up. Up and to the right, they're recalling. All right. So they're going to do that. Another thing I'll tell you this too. If you blame somebody, if I tell Jimbo that he killed somebody or I know he did something wrong, what do you think his reaction is going to be? His reaction is going to be to vehemently deny it, you know. But if you get a guy who's not really denying, like, well, you know, how do you know that? And if they're not emphatic about they didn't do it, they're lying to you, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, when I first started as an agent, guys used to lie to me and get away with it all the time. I would go in there, I would come out of the interrogation room, tell my boss he couldn't do it, let's let him go. My boss said, okay, give me a second. He go in 5 minutes later, he said, Derek, you can go and take the confession now. So I used to go for that. I used to go for the sob stories. And I became a guy who didn't go for the sob stories anymore, you know, because God would lie. They would lie to you out of their teeth. I mean, through the, you know, everything they said was going to be a lie. So we learned to read those. But that's the quick tip I give you about that, Jim. That's how you can find it right away. In the club, a woman telling you how much she likes you, she's looking to the left, she's thinking about somebody else. You know?
Thanks for watching our video lessons here at TRS Direct. Hit the like button down below and consider subscribing to our channel here on YouTube. Hit the bell icon and we'll send you a notification when there's a new lesson available. Thanks again for watching.